Sorry.
Okay, I call the meeting of the entire cemetery commission to order for Wednesday, July 10th. I declare we have a quorum present. Excuse me, goodness. And moving right to the agenda, we'll take number one, commissioner comments. Lee, do you want to?
Oh, okay. I was gonna offer that as the next agenda item, but. LWS says there's a call for officers. And I'm happy to nominate Alan.
I'll second it.
Thank you for your,
Support. Ongoing, enduring support.
yes, indeed. I've got to say, of all the different committees that I've served on, I'm pretty selective about what I volunteer for. Land Bank is, I've always considered my highest because of the long-term impact. Cemetery Commission, because it's so involved with history and what we do and the record keeping. And I'm really impressed with the progress we've made as far as improvements. Roads and right of way, because of all the earlier right of way, just, things that we did. And what's the other one? Anyway, so I appreciate it.
Well, you're a water commissioner.
Oh, and water commission, again, because that's a pretty important group of people that are too. And I do think that between the water commission and the cemetery commission, they're two of the best run town committees that we, so.
A lot of appreciation to Charlie for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Okay, how about,
Vice Chair?
down the list of vice chair, that sort of thing?
We're voting late. Did we do that?
Well, I was vice chair and I would be more than happy to continue.
Yeah.
I would vote for Frank, or I would move.
I'll second.
Oh, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Well, since we didn't vote on you, I thought maybe we'd vote on all
On the
of them at
slate.
once.
Yeah, that's,
So
And
I nominate Lee for secretary.
I'll second that, sure.
okay,
Let's get kids at the back.
we probably should
That's
do a
my
roll
last term,
call.
so.
Me too.
okay, do we need a vice chair?
We did, we just selected or nominated Frank.
Oh, okay, great. And I think that completes it.
Yeah.
All in favor of that slate of officers?
Well, we've got,
I'm sorry.
better do it.
We'll do vice chair for Fran. All in favor?
We have to
No,
roll call.
no.
We're doing it by the slate.
Let's select the slate by roll call.
Okay. Well, that's right. So we have
Lisa's aye.
Leah as secretary, we have Fran as vice chair, me as chair. And I think that's,
And that's the slate.
that's it. Okay, so that's the slate of officers. And I would entertain a motion to approve the slate of officers. Hey, Bob, a motion,
Second.
second from Scotty, all in favor?
No,
No, you do.
Roll call, Alan.
I can say I need to brush up on my,
Robert's rules.
so roll call vote, Scotty,
Aye.
Barbara,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Fran,
aye.
chair votes aye. Okay, great. It's funny, I've taken that course, I don't know how many times over the years, public
You have the
meetings.
meeting on.
Okay, approval of minutes from June 12th.
Oh, isn't it under commissioners' comments that you wanted to bring an agenda item up?
Yeah, the selection of the officers.
That was the select.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'd like to bring up a couple of things.
Yes, Fran.
I took Jason's stone cleaning course
Yes.
last month,
Mhm.
just to see how she does it. And it was very interesting, but I can see why that method can't be applied to whole cemeteries because it's very intensive, stone by stone.
Right.
But it was interesting to do it, and she uses soft bristle natural brushes and lots of water. And that's just not a way we could treat whole cemeteries. But it was interesting. So that was what I wanted to bring up. And then Barbara and Charlie and I were making progress with, right now, the finance committee has to sign off on it.
Yeah, the finance department has the scope we put together along with the script, which was vetted by town communication department. So now the finance getting a final review by the finance department, and they will have give a contribution list, and hopefully soon they will send out the request.
Very, very, very soon, please. I mean, it's not like something we could just sit around and wait on, it has to get through. So I appreciate the fact you reminded them of that.
Yeah, I've emphasized that we're trying to get this done.
But that was what I had to bring up.
Okay, anything else under public comment or commissioner comment? Yeah, okay. Then approval of the minutes from our last meeting on June 12th. I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the minutes from the
And a
12th.
second, Scotty. And roll call vote. Fran,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Barbara, Scotty.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Those minutes are approved. Lot sales since last meeting. I got another call this morning. I think Charlie had talked to you back from Ohio. And I called him back, but he wasn't there, so I left a message for him. And he's planning to be on Nantucket at some point this summer. So in my phone call, I said, give me a call. I gave him my home number, my cell number. And I told him I'd meet him out at the cemetery for, to show him what we have available out there. I've had a couple of other inquiries. One of the women from Bookworks is interested in going out there. And I shared with her the same thing. They said, give me a call, let me know a convenient time, and we'll meet at the cemetery at Focus, and we'll show you what we have available out there. This seems to be the season where people are starting to think about it, or either that or they're here on Nantucket. Think about it. So
But we haven't actually sold any of this.
no, we haven't. None have been sold since actually it's been a couple of months.
There was such a flurry of sales, and then
Well, we still have lots to market. And Scotty has been busy.
I'm sick.
Not busy, just busy, but also with this infection and all that stuff. And I have anyway, it hasn't worked yet. And what the hard part, the thing that I'm having difficulty with, is that we have these circular markers with 4 different numbers and letters and so on, and each one has to be in the right place. So every time I've tried to do this by myself, I get, it just doesn't work, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I have discovered that pounding them in the ground, they have a square hole at the top, that the bolt goes through. And then I have to be sure that they are lined up so that, the right marker is pointing in the right direction and so on. So that's part of the confusion that I have. If anyone else would like to come along when we go out there to do pleasure. It's pretty straightforward. What we do is we put a string along where the row is. So depending on what row, say we're doing row C or A or, whatever we're doing. And then we simply measure along the string every 4 feet if we're doing the tops of them. Just put the marker down, and then I can come back and just sort of pound them into the ground.
When are you available? We never seem to be able to be on the same.
I'm pretty much available. I unfortunately have 2 doctor's appointments coming up this week, so.
What about next week?
Next week looks, I think, pretty.
Air conditioning makes me sneeze.
Zoom time.
Earlier is better, just because of how hot it gets.
Okay, oh, wait a minute, next week is when I have, what do I do? I'm. Yeah, it's December 4. I could do Monday afternoon, Tuesday morning, anytime on Wednesday.
So on Tuesday, can you do 9 a.m.?
Yes,
Right, let's do that until we're done. But you'll bring the plates, right? I'll bring the straw.
Yeah.
Like we did last time.
okay, so
Or if the 2 of you reach Monday and you're still in agreement, send us all a note.
Then we're gonna do that?
In case we want to join you or are able to join you.
right, on Tuesdays.
It's Monday, Tuesday the 16th, right?
Yeah.
Tuesday,
9 a.m.
I'll be on.
Tuesday the 16th, 9 a.m. at Pocus Cemetery.
I have been canceled out of sailing so many times. If that's a good day, I'm not going to sail.
Because I'll be a magician at these little things. I know exactly how they work.
Great, well, that's
Alright.
that's the thing,
Take a video.
for some reason, it escapes me, I can't tell you how many times they've been up there trying to figure out. Anyway,
All right, mate, we're on.
so good, Opus, install. Markers. So be there with the markers with bolts to put them in the ground.
The 16th.
And then the next step will get a map of the new, the layout for the new.
And a list of any that are, might be missing.
Yeah.
We'll get those ordered.
And it should be pretty straightforward. I use the map, when I'm out there with people. So I know which ones we sold and which ones are available. And so the first thing that I ask when people are up there at the cemetery looking for the lot, do they have a preference for the woods or the front, or if they have any sort of a preference? They can take a look at the map, see what's available, and then once they have a preference, they'll take them over and they can pick out whatever out there. So, but the map is key because then I cross it off so that.
Right.
So next time I meet people up there.
Well, also, we need to get it done. Because if we get an influx of people that want to buy a plot, we need to have plots to sell. Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy the process because it gives me a chance to talk a little bit about the history of the cemetery, which is part of it, I think. And I get to meet the people themselves and make them feel comfortable about what they're doing because people are sometimes a little squeamish about dealing with burial plots and all that sort of thing. So, anyway, it's okay, I have nothing else as far as lot sales.
No,
We haven't told any other ones.
so next
Monument Restoration Project. The CPA is considering our application and they will vote September, is that when they vote?
So we were approved last year.
Oh,
Town
we
meeting.
were. Oh, so,
Yeah, right now, we're just waiting for we told the account and the funds are ready for us. Which
I
We're
didn't,
all in all, the town right now is in kind of a waiting period while they finish the close out of last year and then give us our budgets and whatnot for this year. So once we have those, the scope of works are all written for Newtown and New North. And,
excellent.
once we get the approval, we can,
okay, well, that's good to know. I was assuming they didn't vote until September and then they announced the winners in November, or whatever.
They put it all in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good,
so
all right,
hopefully at
so,
our next meeting, I'll ask for your approval to release
excellent,
those to finance
good.
and get going.
And it was the full amount, the 150,000? Wow, great. And that fits in with Walter's estimate, or
But yeah,
basically,
yes, yeah, I use the numbers from our previous restoration work to come up with that
right.
average or so.
So that means as soon as those funds are released, then we can contact Walter.
Well, they'll have, due to the cost, they'll have to go out to both.
Yeah, oh, that's right, they've got to do a bid process.
I think I bet New North is estimated somewhere at $70,000 or so, and then the balance at Newtown, vice versa. They're pretty close in numbers.
Great,
So
okay, well, that's good to know. So actually, fall is probably the best time for that.
even if we award it today, I wouldn't anticipate anybody
Yeah,
being able to get vehicles and trucks out here or come out to do the work until fall.
Right.
okay, well, that's good to know. I, as I said, I didn't understand. I thought it was going to be later when they put the funds, and then we had to do all the way themselves.
Yeah, if you want to see angry people, just ask them what they think about the ferry.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's great. By the way, I've got to say again, the cemeteries have been really well maintained this summer. Every time I go out to the cemeteries, and I try to hit all the cemeteries at least once a month. And they've always been in good shape, mowed, nicely trimmed, and all that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
they're doing a great job.
I've been in contact with that company a few times, and I always pass along.
Right.
Do a great job. I always notice where's Quaker Cemetery, because drive by from us, and
Yeah.
always very impressed at their straightness of the mow lines with all the hills and
Yeah,
valleys and dips.
exactly.
They do a very good job.
They do. Yeah.
They're
Wow.
keeping those lines straight.
I didn't look today going by, but there's been a white plastic chair in the Quaker burial ground. I thought somebody's brought a chair there to sit and contemplate it all.
Which cemetery?
And the Quaker,
Baker.
Oh,
Quaker.
Quaker Cemetery?
I didn't notice as we went by today whether it's.
I didn't notice either. I was watching the traffic.
Yeah, it's a big traffic aid.
It's not too bad though.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, well, what
Yeah,
I do
people
when I
had
go
that
into the
were
cemetery,
going like
I
fury to
usually
beat the
work
3 o'clock
on,
closure.
because I'm going out toward Matticat, and then Buckner just hop over the fence. But I haven't noticed that, so if it's still there, I'll make sure that gets taken away. I did notice a historic cemetery sign. This was just in the last day or two. And I forget what it was. It was difficult to read.
The one on Prospect Street really needs to be repainted. But somebody mentioned it was something about the one on Campus Road. I haven't been to look, but
Gee, and I was out there
It's
2
gone,
days ago.
it's
it's
gone.
gone, and I think Drew and Ray Sylvia have recovered it in anticipation of redoing it.
Yeah, that was my assumption that.
I heard Drew say so.
All right, yeah, I had mentioned to Ray a while ago, and he said he would be down there to take down the sign and, what they're gonna replace it with. But hopefully, they're not gonna use plywood. So it delaminates in 2 or 3 years. So,
It's, It's a tough call because there are some historic towns that happen to have been Missouri, but it doesn't matter where. But the street signs were really very precious on cast aluminum, cast brass. If we did that on Nantucket, there wouldn't be one of them left in 24 hours.
Well, even some of the popular streets, they changed to granite, to granite posts.
Yeah.
Like Nantucket Ave, I think that was one of the most popular, and Whaler Ave.
Yeah.
Constantly,
But
as fast as they went up, they came down.
the sign
Yeah.
saying oldest house never lasts very long. though.
Gotta make them all out of rock.
Yeah, that's the way.
You hire somebody.
Yeah.
That's exactly why we did that. We took all the wooden ones down and put stones. And,
They're still there.
they work.
Foods for here and there sign used to get stolen all the time.
Oh, I bet.
And so we made a big folder.
Oh, it's such great work, and the fact that you guys donated the time and effort and everything to that, so it was great. Okay, Newtown, legal status. I haven't had any sort of an update on anything. I doubt it. Yes, Rick?
I had a chat with Tracy McDonald,
Mhm.
and it was, I think it was after the last words in my way meeting. She is moving perhaps a little more conservatively than I would care for, because she reported a reluctance on the part of the planning department to give up Allen's Way. And so her strategy would be to turn the other, is it three? Two, 1, 2, 3. The other two lots that surround Allen's Way back to cemetery. And once that's done, then to deal with Allen's Way. And I turned to her and I said, Tracy, I understand the good relationship with planning department that you're trying to foster, but we are walking on graves. And so now I'll share with you a little bit of my surveying lecture. For surveyors, there's a difference between an error and a mistake. An error refers to something like your ruler was made wrong and you think it reads 12 inches, but it's actually 11.5. That's an error. And errors can accumulate to some fairly large differences. A mistake is when your ruler is correct and you read it as 13. And so what happened in Allen's Way, I think was both a mistake in that somebody said, we need a way across the cemetery, and an error when they asked archaeologists to investigate if there were any graves. And the report was, no, there weren't. And what they did was they got a backhoe, they dug a few holes, they didn't find any boxes, and so they said there are no graves. We now have the GPR report that says there are graves under the walkway. And until we get some authority to clear the rest of it and extend GPR, I can't really recommend that we give an alternate route for Allen's Way. And so,
We know what's there.
long story short, if Tracy can get her way, that several of the lots, and I think it's 38, 40, and 44, are made back into town, back into cemetery, leaving Allen's Way as a right of way. We can at least clear off some of the back end of the cemetery and get our GPR out there to see if there's any place where we could recommend a new way across the cemetery. So it's a long story short. It's a short story long that she is looking at it. I'm still of the mind that we get the whole thing declared a cemetery and then we work to find a new route. She's approaching it a little bit more cautiously because she's reading the planning department as reluctant to jump.
But we are the cemetery commission, so where's the power lie here?
Select board.
Select board, right? That's what, ultimately, that's what it was. Just out of curiosity, we're mainly concerned about a footpath. And the footpath is mainly for the high school, or the high school kids and so on. The school has abandoned the old, the soccer fields were there, whatever the fields were that abuts cemetery.
There's field hockey field there for a while. I don't know what's there.
It's still active, field hockey in summer.
Well, I think the closest part of the school system is the bus park.
Well, of course, that puts you through the cemetery. I was thinking that if we did it along the boundary there, because presumably the town owns right up to the edge of the cemetery. On, that would be on the side going out toward,
Well, the cemetery, that's north, south, east and west. Actually, sits this way. So you've got the southwestern boundary, the northeastern boundary.
right, the northeastern one is the one that runs along the playing fields that the town has no longer used, right? They're no longer, well, I'm not saying no longer, they use them for extracurriculars and things like that. That's where they had the starbase or the eclipse. And while I was up there, I walked along that and I thought, gee, would it be possible to use that boundary line? I mean, they only need a 5-foot strip if they're just doing a footpath that would get people out on the Sparks Avenue so they could go down to the, wherever they go.
Cumberland Farms.
And so that would be one thing. A dirt footpath through where it's already existing, and we're pretty sure that there are burials in the footpath somewhere along there.
Well, here's another little bit of my history. I was chair of the Penn State Faculty Planning Committee. And I got a lot of insight on how universities plan such things as footpaths. And the vice president for planning said, hey, if the kids mark a path, we pave it. And so it's highly likely that the kids will find the shortest route to the Cumberland.
It's a conversation I actually had yesterday with Drew. We were talking about pathways and like the Veterans Memorial downtown next to the Visitor Service Center. People are starting to wear a path cutting across the memorial to the bathrooms.
Yeah.
And I said, people will always find the fastest way. When I was at UMass, great pathways everywhere. And there's a dirt footpath diagonally across every piece of grass because it's the fastest point into lines, and that's where the students go.
So what you need to do is just alert Erica, because she's adopted that space with her daughters and the Girl Scouts, and she might get a big dog or something.
Lee, what do we do about what you were describing about Tracy, and how do we make this work?
I think at the moment, we wait for a report from Tracy. And Ellen, I was hoping that she would be on this call. But if you could ask her to apprise us in August of what's up, then we might be able to make some suggestions or even a motion to approach the select board.
I like that. Should get that in minutes.
We have approached individual selectmen before.
It's been 6 years.
And I think the bulk of the use of the path comes from not so much students leaving like the middle school, because they do tend to walk across the field and cross there, but it's from the elementary school, the hockey rink. I see people use it as a cut around instead of going up and around. Again, it's that straight line.
Yeah.
Come across Cal Pond. I see people walking through the hockey rink parking lot all the time. And it's that straight shot, from all the neighborhoods there, just cut across the school. to get
Okay,
there.
so the bottom line is we have to wait for Tracy and we want to ask Alan if we'd like that. Not right.
Okay,
That's good.
all right, so,
So the good news is she's not ignoring this issue,
no,
but she's trying to deal with the official sensitivity to it. Which
Yeah.
in the end may get us more than being awkward and pushy, but
Yeah.
I'm ready to be awkward and pushy.
Well, like you just said, 6 years is a lot.
one of the other things, last time I was up in the cemetery, coming from the beginning of Cow Pond Lane or whatever it is. The cemetery supposedly controls that area that we looked at when we did the group survey. So there shouldn't be any burials in that section, should there?
We don't know.
We don't know. That's why we need to
It
do.
has gone over. Interestingly, of course, Tracy is part of the Allen family and still owns a lot of the property around the cow farm. She's got a personal stake
Yeah,
in it.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
been on my mind too, but I think that we can't assume there aren't burials there, my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we need to
We
make it.
need-
Yeah, definitely.
So, are we ultimately gonna have to do some, ground penetrating or whatever?
Yes,
So maybe at that point, if we can put it halfway through that part of the land. Because once you get to the hill where it goes down and you have
There are graves right up to that drainage area on Sparks Avenue.
all right, then I think where's the northwest corner or
Well,
whatever?
it's southwest, northeast.
Yeah, the northeast corner. Seemed to make sense to me because I haven't checked the trails to see where the kids go. Maybe I should go up there and watch after school's out, see where the kids go. Or there's probably a footpath, if they do take alternative routes that go down. All right, well, anyway, at least that's a work in progress. And, yeah, and it'll be nice to get that cemetery sort of settled after all these years. Okay, anything else on Newtown?
Yeah,
On Clovis.
it was the 1998 subdivision. You've told the tell this. I certainly was part of Nantucket as an absentee owner in 1998. But you were here when Reverend Ted
Oh, yes.
me too.
said, you can't run a road through there, they're graves.
That's quite okay, Pulpus Cemetery updates. Nothing as far as the legal layout of I'm sorry, as far as the setback for the other folks that are next door. I was up at I'm up at that cemetery fairly often, maybe because every time I go up Australia, I pull over and check it out and so on. And I think once we get that settled, the Hicks have already planted on our property. Now, in the east or what are we doing? Negotiating an easement with them?
Now we're negotiating license.
Our
A
license.
license
that's right.
for, to enable their encroachment. And once that's signed, we're gonna possess up to the fence.
Right.
Which
Now-
we do now, but we've been cautious about
Yeah.
doing anything in the hopes that we could get the swap.
Right.
She, part of the same conversation, she did say she's working on the language of the license and she'll be back to us with that soon, so. with
Maybe at
your-
the same conversation.
Yes, with your conversation with Tracy, add Pulpus to the mix.
Right, I will definitely do that. my thought was originally, we would make them tear out all the stuff that they planted on our property and everything else. In looking at that property, it's not a parcel that we'd ever use for graves, because it's, you know, sort of at the bottom of a slope, it's,
No. As James Bond would say, never say never.
well.
Yeah.
Sure. But looking at the land that we do have, that we can do plots on, all that stuff going up to the fence line, before, you know, before the garage. We've got plenty of space, and the hill is general enough that I think we could do graves there for a good ways farther, you know, down a ways. That would, if we allowed them to keep the tall grasses and the other things that they planted, it would drop.
I think we should wait, Alan, until we get this licensing done. and
No,
we'll Discuss it then.
yeah, no, I'm just bringing it up as
Alan, just stressed enough that they've played this waiting game to get what they want. If they won't do the swap, then we're gonna possess the cemetery to the fence line. And we'll tell them you have a week or a month to recover your plants, otherwise we're sending them over.
I have to say, I agree with you.
Me too.
well, from an aesthetic point of view, I mean,
They can plant on their side of the fence.
And that's a topic for another meeting.
yeah. Well, okay. All right, well, we do have to see where the easement is going. If the easement is only going to encompass the,
No,
It's not an easement,
or, I'm sorry, the
it's a
license
license for the existing encroachment.
for the existing encroachment, which is the,
End of the shed, it's 1 foot of or a few inches of.
yeah,
of the shed.
exactly. All right. And let's see, we've already talked about laying out the new lots. We're gonna do that on Tuesday morning. So that'll be nice to get those lots done. That brings us to old, new, or other business, or any final comments?
Well, Fran, your note about Wires Way.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
and Stacy did respond. I mean, I know this has been one concern because now that rather large lot is being advertised for sale for $4.5 million. And buyer beware, the only way you can get into it is by wires.
Yeah.
Way.
And that's all in legal document. I pulled up the deed. I have a copy of the deed that the land bank has to the parcel that's just behind it. And there's an easement that goes through, what they're calling the Wires Way. And it was because of that easement that the developers could split the lot, make it 2 lots and put designs for 2 big giant houses there and all that sort of stuff. The land bank has been fighting, has been discussing that with the buyers of the lot. Red Pole is one, and
so it's being sold.
It's
Yeah.
being advertised
Yeah.
right now, $4.5 million for the whole thing.
Yeah.
But you can't get emergency vehicles in.
right, exactly. Well, we pointed that out, because the way itself, as you come in off New Lane, is very narrow. You can see where the fence line for the cemetery is, and there are big trees on the property of the other owner who faces out onto New Lane.
I'm confused. Where are we coming in on this?
We're coming
Where's this
in
up from the cemetery commission?
from-
I know, I understand, but
Wires
what,
Way runs along the side of.
I understand all that, but what, are we gonna take some action, or is there
Oh,
something
no,
we
no,
can
no.
do?
Once again,
We'll pay attention.
this time is much more current. You all have copies. Tracy wrote back to Fran saying, to her knowledge, there is no inclination on the part of the town to do anything with Wires Way. And anything would include a taking or
Yeah, I
increasing.
read that.
the- yeah.
So there's no action for us to take right now.
Right.
We're watching it.
Except to
Okay.
tell them, stay the course.
Right.
I mean, we should be aware of it.
Yeah, well, they're very aware of it, because one thing I pointed out when we, at the land bank, when we were discussing the situation and what to do about it, is the fact that it's so narrow, trying to get cement trucks in there, trying to get, trucks with loads of lumber and all that sort of thing. They're gonna,
We just don't wanna have a oops on our hands and then they,
well, at least the developers are aware.
But, now it's being advertised, the whole thing, undivided. I mean, these advertisements just started. I think the developers have given up and now,
That was my thought. I saw the ad for it, and as soon as I saw the ad, I said, maybe what are they doing? I think because of the argument that they can't get trucks down there without encroaching beyond the existing way, and it's not really, it's a driveway. It's not a wayway. It's a driveway.
So I think in answer to Barbara's question, if in the passage of time it sells and somebody is trying to redo the structure in the lot, and they ask, would you mind if we took down your fence? The answer would be, yes, we do mind. You figure out how to do this by hand.
Exactly. And in addition to the fence is, there's a rise of about 3 feet
yeah.
on the berm, where the fence sits, goes right along the edge of the berm. So it's more than just, taking the fence down. So, all of which we pointed out to the buyers when they bought the lot, and they went ahead and bought it. So that's probably what's back on the market again. Is they said, wait a minute, what have we bitten off, At least they haven't come back to the land bank to say we wanted to buy it. We could buy it for a parking lot for the cemeteries, because that's another whole issue that we haven't. Except Rosen right of way did
or if they
request
donate it.
the taking of Franklin Street, so that those 5 spaces that are along North.
Has anything come of that at all?
The town chose not to do anything, and that was with Ken at one of his last reports.
Because, there was a guy standing out on Franklin Street last week when I went up to visit my niece. And somebody asked him, what are you doing? And he said, I'm observing traffic. And then he went on about Franklin Street being a private way, and somehow or other, he was there to prevent people from misusing it. What are you talking about, mister?
Yeah.
There's the beach.
Go to the beach.
The misuse is that people park on the only 5 spaces that are available there, right next to the cemetery, and then they're all aware. I mean, it's the same cars, same vehicles, that they're all year round.
On a public way, you call the police and say it's been parked for more than 96 hours, ticket it.
Yeah.
After you ticket it, tow it, but not in a private.
Yeah, I know. I found that out because I called the police. This was a couple of years ago when this, first came up. And I said, look, here are the cars, here are the license numbers. They've been here for X number of months and they haven't moved. And so the policeman came and I met them there and I pointed out. And then that's when anyway, that's when it became, known as a private land, because the
Well,
town.
also, property owners there put up some really silly signs. Saying private way, blah, 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 blah.
I think it was the guy down at the end of the street on North Liberty who was the instigator.
The signs are gone.
Hmm?
The signs are gone.
Or- Okay, so is there any other business to come before the commission this afternoon? Seeing none, I declare we are at the end of our agenda and it's only been 45 minutes.
I know, but I need to get Fran home.
If you don't mind, I gotta go soft.
Okay.
I
Okay.
see that
Right.
Fran was fading the last
See you
15 minutes.
Tuesday.
No, but,
The box.
I know,
I'm glad you came, but
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of
I'd
them.
rather do it on people that don't hold me.
You want- They're right next to it.
So Fran, I was at the dentist yesterday morning. There was somebody behind me, waiting, and I grinned and I said, I've just discovered that this ever youthful body has old teeth.
Oh, God. Thank you. Now.